Next item on our agenda are our action items, and we'll start with item number 4, a resolution declaring surplus property for sale or disposal. Ms. Smith, pretty straightforward.
Yep, and we see every year, we would ask the departments to identify a list of those items which they no longer need. Most of this list is computer equipment, and it's resulted from cleanup and transition to IT services with the county.
Any questions for Laura? Something we see each and every year?
Every quarter.
Every quarter, excuse me.
I so
That's
recommend.
This gross to year is recommended. Is there, let's see, John, Debbie?
Debbie.
And Debbie?
Go for it.
John?
Yeah.
And myself, if it's all right, it'll be on consent agenda.
Fine with me.
All right. Item number 5 is an ordinance repealing section 215.120 of the city code regarding criminal use of weapons. Chief Simmons?
Last month, the council, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, last month, the council adopted the standard annual Uniform Public Defense Code for Kansas City's, and it standardizes all of the kinds of municipal violations that we would generally enforce here in the city. And it makes the same rules applicable throughout the region, so that somebody doing something in one city would generally know the rules in another city. Once we passed that, I had the opportunity to look at this particular city ordinance and found they're very similar with the exception of some pretty old definitions of items. And my proposal, my recommendation is that we do away with the city ordinance and just enforce under the UPOC. I think it makes it a level playing field, again, for people traveling throughout the region. Some of the funny things that I found in here, somebody goes to the hardware store and buys a box cutter and puts it in their pocket or in a bag. They've concealed it, and that's in violation of our city ordinance. So it's kind of extreme. Yeah, I know. Pitch that thing.
Well, we've been looking for a reason to arrest us.
We apparently once upon a time had problems with throwing stars or something, so we went out of our way to define that in the ordinance. Again, my recommendation is we go by what the book says.
Okay. Questions for the chief?
Are
Mr.
we-
Weber?
Are we enforcing skateboarding laws in the city of Mission?
I would think that when there's a complaint, we would. However, I have seen some young people on occasion and skateboarding probably where they shouldn't, and I much prefer to go and have a conversation with people as opposed to throwing them in the hoosegow and trying to deal with it at the lowest level.
Mr. Weber, I think you have an applicable question.
What I noticed that the state passed this new fee at a certain level for seat belts. Okay. If the state passes something, then we got to abide by this as cities.
For the seatbelt one, it was a thou shalt not, so we are specifically prohibited. And to be quite frank, Mission never deviated from the state standard. We always stayed with that $5, $10
Yeah.
fine.
No, I don't have a problem with
Right.
it, but I'm just saying, supposing they come up with something that we say disagree with 90% with our law, then
Then we can go by home rule and opt out of that state
Okay,
statute,
we
as long
can
as it's
still
more
use-
strict and not more lenient.
we can still use home rule.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, looking for a recommendation on
I-
revising the ordinance?
I recommend that ordinance deleting section 215.120 regarding the criminal use of weapons of the code of the city of Mission be forwarded to council for approval. And I agree.
Agree? John?
So agree.
4-0, consent agenda if it's okay with everybody. Thank you, Chief, appreciate it. Item number 6 is a resolution designating Mission Art Walk, October 14th, 2011, as a city-sponsored festival event. Mr. Scanlon.
When we brought this to you in May, we assumed we would have events in June, July, August, and September. And with the second Friday in September being very close to when we have Arts and Eats, it was decided that it would be better to do July, August, and October. But October wasn't included in the original resolution, so what we're doing is coming back and adding October.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions?
None.
Recommendation?
I so recommend.
Ms. Crane?
Support.
Mr. Weber?
Support.
My consent agenda.
And there's an art walk this Friday, just to include that.
And what time does it
6
start?
to 10.
Would you like to clarify that for
I would like
Lawrence?
to clarify that for Lawrence. We'll have RJ's And we have Miguel's Mexican. So we'll have 2 different kinds of food, and there'll be 22 artists.
Very nice.
Great.
And it's going to be between where and where?
Woodson, between Johnson Drive and Martwood.
Very nice.
Are any of these artists going to be at the art show?
No.
Okay. They're
Even
different.
better.
Huh?
Even better, bigger.
Even better.
Bigger group.
Even better. And there will be alcoholic beverages, we think.
Number 7, memorandum of understanding with Mark for smart lights for smart cities. Who can vote against that? Mr. Scanlon?
If you remember at the Community Development Committee meeting, Justin went over sort of a smart light program. And one of the questions that Councilmember Weber had was the type of light, is it sufficient at nighttime to make out people? Is it better than the light that we are currently using, and sort of what the condition is? And we got the traffic engineer in Shawnee and the police chief in Shawnee to write us kind of their little report, and it's on the back. And then we got the guy at Mark who operates the smart light program to sort of give his 2 cents about the LED lights and whether or not they're good, and do they make it safer or less safe. So I want to make sure I include that. This memorandum of understanding, since there's so many cities involved, 25, the last count, they wanted to make sure that we were all in agreement as to what the expectations were in terms of what we were doing and what Mark was doing. All of these lights are paid for by the grant. The most important part of this to us is actually section H of the memorandum of understanding for the city, which is participate in discussion about pilot tariffs and sustainability of project. This is a section we actually added because if you're trying to establish a streetlight utility, we're going to have to get a different set of tariffs as it relates to the use of LED streetlights that doesn't currently exist.
I don't understand that. Can you give me, I don't understand that.
Utilities are regulated by the Kansas Corporation Commission on this side and Missouri Corporation Commission on that side.
Okay,
And they don't currently have a rate that they can charge for LED streetlights.
got it.
So we have to come up with a rate that's applicable in uniform.
By city?
No, for the state to administer to KCP&L to say this is the rate that you will charge. And that becomes important for us because we want to get into the street light utility.
How do you set a benchmark for that?
You take the actual savings that is applicable to the various technologies, and whatever that is reduces the current tariff for that street light by that amount. That's our argument.
And I'm assuming without this additional tariff, we would end up paying more per streetlight than we should.
Correct.
Can we add the word lower, about lower pilot tariffs,
Yes. Okay.
just to clarify it?
You like Lawrence's work?
Well, he clarified it perfectly, so maybe we could add that
Always in trouble.
in. Other questions?
And this program replaces 23% of our streetlights with LEDs, so there's a significant savings coming out. And there are some cities that are returning their grant simply because they just don't want to have to deal with it, apparently. And so we're trying to get in the queue if we can get, anytime we can pick up 5 or 10% more of our lights that are LED that use less electricity, we'll try to do
Have we tried to quantify the savings to the city?
We will, once there's a tariff that's established.
A lower tariff? Mr. Weber?
They did an excellent job of supporting what I had on my original question here. It says it improved road visibility. I totally agreed with that from the very beginning, and that's what they showed us on there going down Johnson Drive. Yes. My question was not for that purpose, but for neighborhoods, the visibility of silhouettes in neighborhoods. Chief, did anybody talk to you about this? Did they? Okay. And I didn't see anything yet, and it'd been nice if I could have read this before I came down here at the meeting and have it thrown at me again.
Well, we got most of this today because we've been working to try to get it.
Okay. But it just, I still like to see my question answered for me.
In fact, Martha marked it received next week.
Yes, sorry. You did. Jumped the gun a little bit.
By a week.
Not that I'm wishing my life away or anything.
Red as this pink highlighter.
Probably have to have meals on the wall.
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding smart lights for smart cities and the memorandum of understanding with
I
Mark?
recommend that we take this to council.
And I second. And I
I'm
agree.
going to still, even if the council say, I don't have any problem with it, if they want Johnson Drive or main thoroughfares and stuff like that. But I still think, and I dealt with this before some years ago, about some of these lights. And I'd like something from somebody to verify that it will not have that impact on my neighborhood where they can't see as well.
Maybe between now and Wednesday, we can do a follow-up with Mark and Roger and get a more specific response.
And I know some cities have turned it down too.
For John's request, for me, it would be valuable to have our police chief sign off and say he doesn't see this as an enforcement issue in our city.
Mhm.
I mean, it's one thing is to have Mark or Shawnee say, and I think that's good, but I'd like our police chief to weigh on this for John's
Sure.
benefit.
Chief, not to put you on the spot, but is there any comments you want to make at this time?
Justin and I talked about it as a staff issue this morning. I've got some more work to do on it, but
Okay.
I have every faith in his ability to do what we've asked him to do. I'll certainly make sure he's done some more work before next week.
Well, we'll put it on the agenda. We'll put it on the agenda to discuss for next week. And for whatever reason, if you find something between now and next Wednesday, we can always move it to the September City Council meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. So 4-0, but it'll be on the 3-1.
3-1.
3-1, but it'll be on the discussion agenda. Okay. Let's see, here we have item number 8, resolution.